Hello, I'm Debbi DiMaggio, your host of Mastering the Art of Real Estate. Today we are on podcast number 5. I'd like to introduce you to Kyle Macowski from Boise, Idaho today. We're going to be talking to him about his business and we'll ask him some rapid fire questions and we're going to learn a little bit more about Boise, Idaho and the surrounding neighborhoods. Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you, Debbie, for having me. I appreciate it.
So excited to have you, and I can't wait to dig into your history of what you did before real estate. Okay, let me just dig right into his bio. First of all, let me tell you, Kyle and I were introduced by our mutual friend, Mike Marsh. I live in California, Northern California, and Mike Marsh lives in Northern California, and his 2 kids went to Boise State. And you'll tell us how you met Mike and Sarah, but they bought a couple homes for you because their kids were attending Boise State. What a great investment, right? And I think he even bought some more investment properties through you. So that is the way we like to transact real estate when we are working with the same client multiple times, because then we get to know them and enjoy their company. So without further ado, let's go into Kyle's bio. Kyle Macowski resides in Middleton, Idaho, a western suburb of Boise. He has been married for 14 years to his lovely wife, Lauren. They have a 10-year-old daughter in 4th grade. Originally hailing from Elburn, a small farm town in Illinois situated 50 miles west of Chicago. His upbringing was characterized by quintessential childhood adventures. Graduating from Western Illinois University in 2007 with a BS in criminal justice, Kyle's journey led him westward with a brief stint fighting wildfires in Helena, Montana, before finally settling in San Diego. Kyle was hired by the San Diego Police Department in '07, embarking on a dynamic 14-year law enforcement career. His roles ranged from working patrol, narcotics, vice, SWAT, to his passion for managing 2 separate police canine units. Meanwhile, Lauren excelled as a top producing agent for Century 21 Award in Temecula, navigating the real estate market's fluctuations with finesse, supported by Kyle's networking efforts. In 2016, Kyle and his family relocated to Idaho, drawn by midnight Zillow discovery, a house they couldn't resist in Caldwell, Idaho, boasting a 10-acre horse property. Okay, wow, that's incredible. Embracing their passion for the Western lifestyle, Lauren focused on running and training barrel horses while Kyle pursued team roping. Their daughter, Ellie, showed a natural talent for horsemanship, excelling as a talented English jumper. Continuing his law enforcement career with the Meridian Police Department in Idaho, Kyle faced his 3rd critical incident in 2018, resulting in injuries from a suspect apprehension attempt. Concurrently licensed as a realtor, he cultivated a successful real estate business on the side, ultimately deciding to transition to real estate full-time for the betterment of his family and to move away from shift work. In 2018, Kyle and Lauren founded Macowski Real Estate, achieving remarkable success with $98 million in sales. In October 23, they were recruited to Finding 43 Real Estate, a brokerage established earlier that year, known for modeling its business around the Zillow team model. Leveraging Zillow's platform, they expanded their reach beyond their local sphere, catering to a diverse clientele from first-time home buyers to multi-million-dollar investors shopping in Idaho. Okay, you are so interesting. First of all, you look so young. How did you do anything for 14 years, let alone there's a lot more after the 14-year career? That's incredible. I kind of want to stop there and let's go back a little bit. Can you just give us an overview about, I mean, you were here and then you were in San Diego and then you decided to do those, a farm, a ranch, like those are a lot of different things. Can you just tell me a little bit first about I'm really obsessed with the SWAT team thing and the law
Yeah,
enforcement.
absolutely. So first of all, for the age, I just use Dove soap. There's absolutely nothing special that goes into it, just a Dove soap guy, and that's it. But yeah, I had an amazing childhood growing up in the western suburbs of Chicago. Definitely didn't leave a rock unturned when I left, and graduated college and decided to move out west. And I had an opportunity to get in that wildfire fighting gig out in Montana, so I did that for a season. And my brother was stationed in the Navy down in San Diego. Really had no ties to Southern California. Only been there once when I was a kid when we drove the coastline up and down, so knew absolutely nothing what I was getting into. And I still remember driving 4 in the morning, pulling up to downtown San Diego, just seeing the lights and the palm trees, and it was a pretty cool feeling. And really didn't have a path to law enforcement, despite having a degree in that. It wasn't really anything on my radar. And a family friend of my mom called, said they saw a billboard that the police department was hiring, and got hired pretty quick by the department. I think just with the life experience that I had in my resume, and it was off to the races from there.
That's incredible. So did you encounter yourself in dangerous situations oftentimes while you were in San Diego?
Yeah, quite a bit. San Diego, it has a very diverse crowd. I mean, you have the absolutely amazing neighborhoods, going North County and coming down the coastline. And then, unfortunately, it does have its, other pockets of areas that require a little bit of attention. But, on a daily basis, I was just a patrol guy, loved working graveyards, loved working at night, had some amazing partners, went through quite a few, critical incidents and lawsuits and stuff. But it was nothing that it really never bothered me. I think it was truly a passion of mine. I did it hard, I did it well, I had a lot of fun doing it, and it was a really good experience, serving the community in a positive way by keeping it as safe as possible.
I love that. What sport did you play, or sports did you play in college or high school? I bet you were an athlete.
So I'm a big time ice hockey player. Unfortunately, I didn't grow anymore throughout high school to maybe take that a little bit further. But I also had a pretty good. I was really good at running. I was a good distance runner, so I actually got a scholarship to run in college, and I did that for a little bit afterwards as well, running for a few running clubs and jumping in some road races down in Southern California, and still do a little bit to this day, but I've hung up the running shoes.
Well, I knew you must have been an athlete to go into that physical job of being in law enforcement. So, wow, just okay. I'm going off tangent, but okay, tell me about Zillow. I'm not a big fan of Zillow, and I've been doing this for 35 years. So I've been doing it a long time. So I get a lot of referrals, which is nice, but
Right.
you always want to new business, right? So I it's like a love hate with Zillow because were you paying for leads I mean, I know you found your house on Zillow, which is incredible how you moved for that, but do you pay when you say Zillow platform? Why don't you just tell us a little bit more about the Zillow platform and how you utilize it as a real estate agent?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you hit it kind of nail on the head. Zillow is a love hate. I think some people have really good experiences with it, and some people don't. It's an opportunity that we went in and we stuck with it to see the long term results from it. And I've met some of my most loyal clients through Zillow, and it has always made sense for me. I mean, of all the agents that we have here in the valley, for someone to call in, get that live connection, that tour request, and meet some person that you would probably never ever in a lifetime ever meet, hit it off, build that relationship, transact with them, get them to the closing table, and then, statistically, you're going to get two, three, four, five potential referrals off that initial lead that, yeah, you had to pay for it up front, but just the long term aspect of, cultivating and working these Zillow leads has been really good for us. And then the second part of your question, they do have different types of leads that Zillow provides. They have the market share leads where, you're paying up front to have ownership and market share with some of these zip codes, or else they do have flex teams where basically Zillow is providing the leads up front and then they're taking a cut of the commission back at closing. But the Boise market does not currently have any flex teams that I'm aware of, so strictly market based here.
So give our audience an idea of what it costs, what you pay to utilize Zillow to get those
Right.
leads.
So Zillow goes off, without digging into too many crazy numbers, Zillow goes off of, the average price of the home in certain zip codes. So you're going to have some luxury neighborhoods where, you're spending upwards to potentially $2,000 a lead. But then there are some smaller pocket of neighborhoods that may attract, first time home buyers where, you can get in there for around maybe that $200 to $400 lead, but it all depends on where you spend. There's ad bonuses and whatever based on your spend without kind of getting too into it. But It can be pricey, but as long as you run a profitable business, you have a good sphere base, it's something that can cover the Zillow, and ultimately, and then it's been very profitable for us.
That's awesome. And I also like what you said about, so when you pay, when you were saying 200 or 400 or 2000, are you paying that up front or are you paying that as the lead comes in?
We paid up front monthly.
Okay. And then the other thing I like, because I don't mind paying a referral fee. I love paying referral fees because I love getting a client that's serious, and I love being able to service that client because it was a referral. Same with if Zillow was to refer. You mentioned, do they, can they refer you, and then if you do the deal, give them a referral fee? I think I heard you say that.
So once you capture that lead, you build that relationship with them. Whether they close, that 30 days from meeting them, or they're 6 months out from buying. I mean, that lead is yours. So once you close and transact on that lead, anything they do from that point on, I mean, that is your lead. You don't owe Zillow anything in the back end with that.
Okay, so there isn't there isn't a program where you can get a lead, close it, and then pay them a fee. You do have to pay a monthly fee with Zillow.
Unless they have that flex team, which Boise does not currently have that in this market, where Zillow will provide you the leads up front, and then there is a referral fee on the back end once that lead does transact and close. But
Okay,
we
I
don't have
love
it,
learning.
so yeah.
Okay, flex team. That's good. I love learning new things because I didn't know that. So that's really great. Okay, so I love that. Well, we already talked about it, I guess. So I was just saying how I love meeting realtors and finding out their story. So we just heard your story of where you came from in your bio. We've had clients that came out of retirement, came out of, they were doing charity work. Someone was a school teacher and you were in law enforcement. So I just love hearing those stories. So there was a transition when you came out of law enforcement and then you went into real estate. Were you doing real estate in Temecula? Tell us your journey from when you got into real estate as a full time, and was that in San Diego or when you got to Idaho?
Right. Well, I'd like to say that I would have gotten to real estate when I had an opportunity to buy a really nice condo in San Diego in 2009, but
Oh,
I
right.
second guessed that and didn't do it. But no, I kind of paralleled with my wife a little bit. So she actually went full time real estate 2009, 2010, right, kind of when the upturn of the market was coming up. And I was full blown law enforcement at that time. It was a good transition for her just because I was working graveyards. I hardly ever saw her. She was an amazing people person, and it just kind of came natural to her. Uh, but I would like to say I got into real estate alongside her because I just loved networking with people and building my wife's database. And, there were so many contacts at the police department and friends that I knew. And even though I wasn't licensed at the time, I still had fun working with her. I'd set up her open house signs and I'd go with her to showings just to, make sure everything was okay. And we just had a blast doing it. And we loved working together. We never got, sick of each other or anything. It's always been a very good working relationship, and working alongside your best friend has been an amazing thing. Uh, and then continue on to law enforcement when we came up to Idaho in 2016. She basically had to restart her business here, and going through a couple of those critical incidents over time just kind of made me not second guess, but kind of reassess where I was at in my life with, raising my family and the shift work and the long hours and the overtime, and kind of got a little motivated to go got licensed. And I actually joined a Zillow team at one of the brokerages that we were with. And in my very first year doing real estate, closed 13 deals, made more money than I was making doing police work, and it was a no brainer from there.
So that was my question. Do you recall how you got your first client? So your first client was from Zillow. You joined a team, and
Right?
you closed 13 deals your first year.
Yes,
That's
13 in my
incredible.
first year.
Now, for
Uh,
anyone listening who's a new agent, don't freak out. That is not normal. That is definitely not the
yeah.
norm. That is amazing. So, when say you were on a Zillow team, were you working with Zillow, or I don't understand that?
So
Explain
I
that
was
Zillow
work
team.
I was working underneath a team that provided Zillow leads. So I personally wasn't paying for them, but the commission split reflected, that Zillow lead that came in. And to talk about that first lead, it was Zillow rings from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I remember I was sitting on the couch at home, we were watching TV, and my phone rang at like 7:55 at night, and got connected to this super bubbly lady. She was super excited. It was my very first Zillow call I ever took, and I was absolutely just freaking out because it was just something totally new to me. I was, so robotic doing police work and never really had to kind of expose the empathetic side of, connecting with people and, putting on that smile, because everything in police work was pretty much robotic, just call to call to call. So this lady called, she was super bubbly, which, at the time really wasn't my personality, and was able to set up an appointment for that home that she wanted to see. It was just one home, which is a total unicorn buyer. So I don't think it's going to happen every single time. And member went out, showed her the property. She absolutely fell in love with it. I had no idea what to do. So called Lauren, who was, a seasoned top agent at the time. And I was like, I got this lady. She wants to write an offer. And kind of put my poker face on, and we got through that very first transaction together. And still to this day, we stay in touch, we text, and it's been a 5-year long relationship.
Oh, I love that story. That is so great. I remember one of my first clients, and he wasn't in real estate at the time. He relocated from the East Coast and bought a house when what I thought was young. He was like 25, and then later he got into real estate, and now he works
Mhm.
with us in our company. And I'll never forget him. I was just it was such a, you remember those stories.
Yeah.
There was something else you said. Oh, one of the things I also coach aside from real estate, and I coach our agents as well. One of the things I want to point out to people is what you did. You were new, and you didn't have all the answers, and you didn't know really what to do next. But I always tell our new agents, don't worry if you don't know the answer. Just calmly say, okay, I'll get right back to you. Then you call us or you call whoever, you get help, and then you can call back, or. So it's like, don't panic that you don't know. You're panicking inside, but just
Right.
be calm about it and say you'll get back to him. You don't need to know everything in real estate. You just need to know who to go to. And clearly you had Lauren and you have Lauren. So, and the other thing
Absolutely.
you is you've been working with your wife, Lauren, and my husband, Adam, and I have been working together for 35 years. So, and it's been great. We work very differently. He likes to be in the office and I can be anywhere. So it's
It's the
great.
same. It's the same relationship with Lauren. I mean, she is kind of always on the go. I'm usually typically here in the office and stuff, and she'll come in and do a lot of work with the agents and stuff. And but it's a mixture. Then I'll be out showing, then she'll be in here. So the cool thing about us is someone is always here, ready and available when someone on the team needs some help. So that's kind of our biggest promoting thing is we're always here for you, no matter what day, no matter what time.
Exactly. I love it. That's totally us. Okay, so I know you do a lot of Zillow, and clear you said you weren't social, you were robotic before. Well, clearly, I don't even know you. I can see you're very social. So, so you've clearly nurtured that side of yourself. So, other than Zillow, how are you meeting clients? What types of organizations or social networking are you involved with?
I think you can never preach your sphere so much, and that's something that Lauren has done a phenomenal job with. Is just cultivating that sphere, building relationship with people. Going to events, going to lunches, having those coffees, and just calling your database of people. I think is what has been just the biggest thing. We're a little bit old. I'm a little bit old school, and I come in the morning in the office after dropping my daughter off. I get her about 8:35, 8:40, and I just go in and I just start calling my old leads that I haven't really spoken to. I don't rely too much on automation, and I know a lot of people do with kind of just where everything has been evolving, with AI and everything. I still just get on the phone and dial people. Have no fear of doing that, and it's amazing how that works and how you can get a referral off of a simple phone call. Um, and we do a lot of open houses. I think those are amazing opportunities to just get in front of people, especially for newer agents, just to start having conversations about real estate, digging into what is motivating that person to show up at that house today. where are they at in the timeline, and just providing, not so much selling them on who you are, but just being there and providing value. And then outside, obviously outside of the Zillow has been an amazing way for us to cultivate new leads. But at the end of the day, you just can't beat your sphere. It's absolutely amazing. And for instance, the marshes, that's how we got connected today, Debbie. And shout out to Mike if he's listening. But I mean, you talk about loyalty from your sphere, and just over the years that whenever they think of real estate, you're that go-to person, and that's priceless.
Yes, I 100% agree. That's so great. It is. I mean, when Adam's coaching our agents, we talk about the sphere, and then agents will say, "Well, how many times could that one person buy a house?"
Right.
No, it's not that one person. It's all the people they know. So when you're top of mind to your sphere, they might not be thinking obviously about you every day. So if you just pop in, you know each other well. So it's just a reminder, and you could catch them at the time when they're like, "Oh yeah, someone has just said they wanted to buy a house," and it just might be as seamless as that. But you do have to be top of mind, and so you do have to make those calls that you're making. And I love it. I love the making the calls. It's good to send emails out too, but it's also so important to do that one-on-one personal
Mhm.
contact. It's so great, and I guess it's kind of an old school thing that we like to talk to people.
Right.
I,
And it
it's
doesn't it doesn't even take that long. It's not a hard thing. I mean, I have past clients that I just call them and say, "Hey, how's it going? Is there anything that you need?" And you just
Yeah,
be amazed at how that works.
it's great. I love it. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come back to learn a little bit about Boise, Idaho, and the surrounding neighborhoods. Thank you.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm Debbi DiMaggio, your host, and we are here with Kyle Macowski of Boise, Idaho. Welcome back, Kyle.
Thanks, Debbie.
Okay, you're welcome. So before we go on to strategies, technology, and transactions, I would like to lay the land. Can you share a little bit about the market in Boise and what life is like there? I don't really know much about Boise, or Idaho for that matter. I'm from California, and I go between California, Colorado, and New York.
Right.
But I understand a lot of people have been moving to Boise and prices are going up. So just give us a lay of the land, the neighborhoods, the communities, how far you are to what we all hear about more is Sun Valley, and anything you can share and why people move to Boise.
Yeah, so when we moved here in 2016, and like I said, we were shopping one night on Zillow and found this home that we totally loved. And I never imagined myself gravitating to Idaho. It just wasn't anything on my radar. And took a trip up here, saw it, and we fell in love with it. It's an amazing community with so many amenities, yet still so close together. So it's just not, the crazy of driving everywhere. It's more of like a deserty environment, even though we do get the four seasons. Growing up in Chicago, obviously we had blizzards and tornadoes and crazy storms. We just don't get that. The precipitation is pretty moderate. It gets warm in the summer, but other than that, it's not too extreme. And it's been a great place for the family. Raising our daughter has been absolutely amazing. We found some great schools for her, and the riding programs with the horses, and that was also an attractor, for us, because we had a couple acres in wine country Temecula, and we were able to upgrade to 10 acres, which was amazing for us and our animals, and allowed us the unique opportunity to really get more into that Western lifestyle that we were trying to do. It's really close to the rodeo scene as far as all the big rodeos and stuff that happen on the West Coast and up in the North and Utah and whatnot. So it's a big hub for that kind of community, which is kind of what gravitated us. But before we came, we didn't really know much about Boise, so we learned a lot on our own as we traveled and drove around the cities. And actually doing real estate has opened up our eyes to all the different neighborhoods and the type of people that live there. And it's been a great place for us to raise our family and grow.
That's awesome. So do you sell single family homes? I would assume new builds. And do you sell farms, ranches as well?
Yeah, so we've done it all. We actually sold the house that we first bought when we moved here, and that really taught us a lot about the equine properties and marketing those properties and how to advertise those to certain clientele that want to live there. And since we sold that one, we actually did grow a really good database of some ranch properties in our portfolio that we sold in the last 5 years. And just recently we got a phone call from another agent that works on another team somewhere, and they actually solicited Lauren and I's help for marketing a property that they couldn't get sold because they've seen in the past the production that we've done with the ranch properties out on the western side of Boise. So that kind of just goes to show that the Macowski name is being seen when it's associated with those type of properties, and then our expertise is kind of being inquired about, which has kind of been exciting.
That's exciting. No, that's very exciting. I'd love to see one of your, did
Yeah.
you do maybe a drone video or something when you marketed that property?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did.
I want send it to me. I'd love to see it. I bet it's
Yeah.
beautiful. I could only imagine. Okay, let's move on to strategies, technology, and transactions. How do you generate leads and find potential clients in the real estate industry? Well, I think that's Zillow and your
Yeah.
past, and so I won't redundant on that. What marketing strategies do you use to promote and showcase your properties? Because you guys have a lot of listings. So how are you promoting those homes and ranches?
I think the biggest thing that we really took our time to build the foundation on of what Macowski is about is, I think, truly our branding. We spent a lot of time and a lot of effort into building a brand of who we are and the services that we can provide. And when we get a call to go to a listing appointment, there's so much confidence in a very humble, professional way going into that listing appointment because of everything that we've already prepared for on the back end. The materials, the tangible material that we show up with is just the sellers and the clients absolutely love it. Our sellers guides, our buyers guides, the way we pull our comps. We come with a listing portfolio that shows, we're not just trying to sell you verbally on what we've done. I mean, we actually have a portfolio of stuff in your area that we've sold at these price points, and this is how we're getting it sold. The vendors that we use, I mean, people could go on and on about professional photography and staging and drone and videos, but I stand by who we use, and it's a very particular list of people that we know that know how we work, how our timeline works, how we advertise our property. So very specific with who we bring into our listings. And then obviously we've just been navigating, just social media is just endless. And we've been navigating that side with, building our social media presence, our website, and just promoting the Macowski name as best we can. And so far it's been good. I mean, just this past week alone, we got a couple calls from past spheres that are looking to move. And I was overhearing conversation that Lauren is having with one of her past clients, and she's like, "I always see your stuff. I always see your name everywhere." And it just goes to show that it stands out, and people believe in what we do and how we're doing it, and that's just something that we're just very, very grateful for.
That's awesome. That's great. And how many people are on your team?
So we just have myself and Lauren as kind of the team leads, and then we have 4 other agents on our team currently right now.
Okay, that's great. Can you share any unique or creative ways you have used to market a property and attract buyers? So it could be a home that was not selling and you had to do something special, or it could be some unique way that you had a really fabulous property that it really was not worthy. They're all worthy, but it had a lot to offer. So there was a lot of different ways you could be creative.
Yeah, there's 2 that kind of stick out. Recently, one was last year. One of the agents on our team, Justin, he procured this seller up in a town called Idaho City, which is about an hour, 15-hour, 20 from Boise, up in the mountains just to the east. And it was a very unique, pretty, unique property. It had river frontage kind of off the main road, and just brainstorming, how can we get this sold? Because it was actually an expired listing before, which is something I can't preach enough on, calling expireds and cancels. I think it's just an absolute amazing way to just figure out, why did these homes not sell, and what can you provide that can get that home sold the next time, these people want to list. And we were brainstorming, what can we do? So, it had the river frontage. It was a beautiful time of the year. So I got my fly fishing rod. I put my waders on, my fishing vest, and went into that river, and I started catching fish on video for the listing. And it was super cool to get that one sold, and kind of look back on the video and see me out in the river fishing. And it was awesome. And then the other one we can think of is when we sold one of the acreage horse properties. I actually loaded up all the horses, got them saddled, and we were out there roping and riding, and that was really portrayed on the video to show the uniqueness of the property, what you can do with the property. And I'm actually excited because I have another listing coming up here in probably the next 2 months or so. We're just kind of waiting for the seasonal things to kick in to get that property on the market, but going to haul my horses up there, and got a couple buddies, and we're going to go rope, and we're going to go film it, and it's going to be awesome.
Oh my God, I'm so envious. That is such
Yeah.
great fun, such fun marketing, but it's such an opportunity because you have these, and I love to hear that story because there's not a whole lot do like that interesting. We're in the suburbs across from San Francisco. It's you can walk down the street, I suppose, or walk through the door, but I just love that about the fishing and the riding. I pictured that when you talked about your before you said it about your horse ranch that you had. I pictured the beautiful horses running wild, and oh, that is just incredible. What a story.
We got if you want a cameo spot, and we got an extra horse we could throw you on. So.
Oh my God, I might just fly out there. I know I can get Mike to go with me. Make him get on. I know he'd rather fly fish, but that is really exciting. I love that. Okay, you are super busy. So how do you and Lauren organize your schedule, manage, share workload? How do you keep organized?
Every day we wake up, and we kind of ask a simple question like, what do you got going on today? So we can kind of just plan our day, because it just evolves. I mean, there really is no crystal ball as to how the day is going to go, especially this past week. I mean, we have so many out of state clients we've been dealing with. Everyone's needs are in a different place. There's needs with the team and where they need help. So gosh, there is no plan to our day. It's kind of just hour by hour, and we're going to see where it takes us. And then, someone's got to be in charge of picking up our daughter after school. And so we take it day by day. But I think just the open communication that we have is just so important. There's no secrets with it. This is what I got going on. This is what you got going on. can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I'm out and about. Can you write this up, send this addendum out? So I think just the ability for us to work together, have that open communication, is just absolutely priceless. So we really don't run into any major problems about, the ball getting dropped. And that's one thing I preach to our clients is, it's not just me you're getting, it's also her. So it's a package deal sometimes. And it goes the same thing for the team. If the team needs something from us, one of us is going to step in regardless and be available. So if it's just a single person, trying to run a team, they can only do so much. So the uniqueness of what we have and the ability to kind of help more people with, what we have and the scheduling that we have is just super beneficial for us.
Well, I love to hear it. That's exactly what we do. We just get up and it's like, there's one of the gals I spoke to, the Denver agent, Denise, she said she has a calendar. She puts everything in her calendar, and then they have a family calendar, and and I'm like, all that calendaring, that would take up so much time. So we're kind of like you, and it works. It's,
Right.
we're not tied to technology that way. It's like we get up, we do. And, before Adam gets up, I send him an email and I said, okay, you and Chase are on this, I'm doing this. And we talk to you a little later, and then can you do this or can you do that? Like you said, can you do this addendum? Can you show that house? Whatever. That's exactly how we are. We just kind of, and then it's communication. Communication is key to your clients as well as to your partners and your team. So couldn't agree more with you there. Have you implemented any technology or tools that have significantly improved your business operations? As you know, we get hit up as agents every day, all day long with calls. Buy this tool, subscribe to this tool will help you. And then all of a sudden you have so many apps and you're like, I didn't even remember I had that app. And you're like, okay, no. So is there anything that you use that has helped you in your business?
The biggest thing that we've had now for the past couple of years is obviously Follow Up Boss. Follow Up Boss has been pivotal with keeping track of our leads, where they're at, the stage they're in, where they were cultivated from, their source, and then that allows us to, because at certain times of the year, we do the home anniversaries, we do certain client events throughout the year, and we want to make sure that the right people are getting invited, and certain people in certain timelines of their home search, whether they're 3 months out, 6 months out, a year out, are they renting? It's been very good to keep us organized and also just tracking the leads and stuff that come in through Zillow, just to make sure that everyone is being touched, everyone's being taken care of, everyone's being followed up on. And that's one of the very first things I do when I get in the office every single morning. Open up Follow Up Boss, and I just see where is everyone at with their leads, what do they have going on, and then myself included. And that's where it comes with the kind of old school way of doing things is I just start calling people. I'll open up a tag in there, and people I haven't talked to in 30 to 45 days, I'll just sort them out, and I'll just get on the phone and start dialing, and what can I do for you? How can I help you?
It's called Follow Up Boss?
Yep, Follow Up Boss. It's just a CRM program that we use for just organizing our clients, whether they're Sphere or leads. And then here at the brokerage, just for the transactional side of things, our TCs use Open to Close, and it's just a transaction management program where all of our clients' information is in there. Dates of certain contingencies are in there, whether it's inspection, the appraisal, close date, when earnest money is due. So everything is very organized. The TCs tag all that stuff on our calendar. So if earnest money's in and it's due at 5 o'clock today and we don't have a receipt of it, we need to get on the phone and figure out where it's at, or what's going on with it. So we're very organized when it comes to that, just to keep that transaction smooth from opening escrow to the closing table.
No, that's great. And so, yeah, Follow Up Boss is a CRM, just to highlight a lot of some contact management. What does the R stand for? Contact relationship or contact relationship management. Anyway, we've been doing this for 35 years. I never used a CRM. I should. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I haven't done it. But to people who it's not too late to start, I definitely recommend it. A lot of people who are super organized, it does keep you organized and on task, and it keeps you in contact. So I definitely think it is a good thing to do.
And
Um,
you could dig into those programs, and it's just infinite the potential that those programs have. But you know, I know there's some agents on our team that have really dug into it and automated a lot of the things to reach out to their clients, and it's worked. I mean, we had an agent on our team where this client kind of just went dark for about 2 years. I mean, but they were just consistently opening the emails. You know, they never answered their phone, but they were just opening the emails, and all of a sudden it's, hey, I need to list my house. Can you come list my home? And boom, he's got a listing hitting the market in 2 weeks.
I guess
So
my fear is the reason why I get nervous about using them is, and about newsletters as well. I take everything so personally. So if someone unsubscribes, my feelings are
right,
totally hurt. And I know I have to get over that. It's been years, but
yeah,
when someone unsubscribes, we're like, why? Do they
I
not like?
know. Yep.
Okay, what is your approach to networking and building relationships with other real estate professionals in the industry? And what I mean here is real estate agents, not so much service providers, but how do you network with other real estate agents to develop that referral network? And that's how we've connected on that.
Right. So I think one thing I want to point out with this topic is, you know, the ability to, you know, let's say you have a client and they're interested in seeing a home by, you know, John Smith, and John Smith recognizes your name from, you know, somewhere or past transaction, and they look forward to working with you because they know how great that relationship was the previous time. I mean, I can't tell you how many times you get on the phone and to schedule showings, and it's like, oh my gosh, I remember when I did that deal with you, you know, a year or two ago. It was so awesome. Let's do it again. Let's make it happen. And that's a good thing because that means that, you know, people respect who you are professionally. They're excited to work with you because you know you're going to do a good job. You're going to keep it seamless. You're going to keep it professional, and you're going to get it done on time. And that's the ultimate end goal. But kind of going back to the original question about networking is just, I love working open houses for other agents, you know, getting in there to see how they do their business, you know, just in familiarizing stuff with, you know, some of the other top producers that, you know, do a lot of the bulk of the business here, and figuring out, you know, what they do, how they do it, how do they market properties. And we go to quite a few events throughout the year. A lot of title companies put on trainings here. So it's funny, you just see faces with their email footers, and then when you see them in person, it's a completely different thing, and you finally get to converse with them. But I think just getting out, you know, being present on a day-to-day basis, having real estate conversations with these agents, calling them to figure out, you know, where things are at with their listings, going to these trainings that title provides, and majority of them are free trainings. I mean, why would you not want to go learn for free and go talk to people? And the biggest thing we're seeing, a lot of these new mastermind platforms that people are putting out, where, you know, you got four, you know, top producing agents here in the valley, and, you know, come down for 2 hours and let's talk about what strategies they're doing to, you know, better their business and build their teams. And I think if you pass up those opportunities, you're only kind of hurting yourself to grow your knowledge base.
Exactly. No, it's really important. One of my favorite taglines that I came up with is we're colleagues, not competitors. We work together. Someone's going to have a listing, someone's going to have a buyer you need each other, right? And
Yep.
so it's so important to have those good relationships, especially if you're in multiple offers and there's, a couple agents making offers, and some of the agents maybe aren't as easy to work with.
Mhm.
The listing agent, if you're representing a buyer, will probably give you some kind of, will probably try to work with you if they can, because they know you'll close the deal and you'll be courteous and you won't try to renegotiate and, just make it difficult. You'll follow the rules, you'll follow the protocols, you'll, do what's customary, and it'll be a pleasant experience. So that is so important to build your relationships within your own community, as well as of course outside of our own territory. Like, you and I are now working with a client that I referred to you, and I guess he's flying out from California
He
to
is.
meet you. So, and he's so funny and nice, and you guys are going to get along great. And so I'm so glad that's going to happen. But yeah, it's super important to just work and build those relationships with those other agents. It's funny, some people will say, well, why are you sharing all that information with that agent? What do you get from that? it feels good. And it's like, why can't I support those people? I had a call once from someone, I've had a couple calls, agents from other areas happen to be doing a deal in our area. And this one agent in particular called, and she didn't know about the sewer lateral ordinance and a few other ordinances we have in Piedmont. And she said, "You're the only agent that called me back and spent time with me. Everyone else pretty much just didn't call back and didn't have time for me, but thank you so much." And I'll always remember that story. She's not going to forget me. And, it feels great to help others. So I just love that. And clearly that's what you're doing as
I
well.
think it's the simplest of things to do. I mean, even just on, you take buyers around to go to showings and, you ask for feedback. I mean, I think it's big to take that 5 seconds to provide a little bit of feedback on the listing, because there's maybe something that you can bring up that may help that listing to sell, even though it doesn't work for your buyers. You're still providing value. And at the end of the day, it sounds silly and a little childish, but we all play in the same sandbox. That's just kind of how it is.
It's so true. I know how many times your seller said, "Well, what was the feedback?" And you kind of have to make something up because, if they're not calling you back, they're not interested, but you can't really get them to respond. So it's just so nice and pleasant if they can respond. And we don't forget those things. We don't forget if another agent was kind to us. It's just super important. Well, we are just going so fast. So we are going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm Debbi DiMaggio, and we are here with Kyle Macowski in Boise, Idaho. So, Kyle, how do you handle negotiations with clients and other agents to ensure a successful transaction?
I think the biggest thing is, working on behalf of your clients is the most important thing. But just digging deep down to figure out motivation, where sellers are at, and having those open conversations, and not being crude and rude about it. I have an investor client that just came in a couple weeks ago, and we started throwing some offers out there, and just some of the agents just were not really too enthused with where some of the offers came in at. But at the end of the day, it's business is business and money's money. But we were finally able to get under contract with one here, and it was an absolutely pleasant conversation with the agent. We were open, we were honest. This is where we're at. There was nothing dishonest about where we're coming from, and just talking things through. And it sounds just basic, but we're just being professional and nice with each other, and have that open conversation, and trying to work in the best interest of our clients. And that's been the biggest thing. This market in Boise is really starting to heat up, so we do have to start to get a little creative with our offers. We're starting to see multiple offers in certain situations. People are starting to waive inspections again, waive appraisals again. So it's starting to heat up, and it's time to get creative to kind of where we were during that COVID time of the real estate market here in Boise, and just the seasonal aspect of it as well. But just staying on top of market trends, where the market's at, following rates, and digging into the motivation of our buyers too, to figure out, how bad do you want these, and how far do we have to go to get these transactions under contract. So it's been tough, dealing with the seasonal aspect, and rates, and now with the market just, I mean, it just went like that overnight. And it's been eye opening for a lot of buyers, but we just have to be there for them and be supportive of their situation and coach them along and just be tough throughout the process.
So communication, obviously, so important. I mean, and that's one of the things you mentioned. Just communicating and being transparent is what you were
Mhm.
saying, and that's so important. And I always like to add to that, it's picking up the phone. A lot of people get lost in this texting and emailing, and sometimes we don't. The other side doesn't really know what's going on. But when you're able to have a conversation, you can hear more of what's going on with the client, and then it helps us agents as we're trying to help our clients to better work the deal. And it just goes smoother. And maybe that specific one I had, she wasn't picking up the phone. Once I got her to pick up the phone, we had a conversation. I understood where they were coming from. I wouldn't have known that through a text message. I'm in Northern California, and it was the client's father was in LA. Immediately I knew in 2 seconds, we do things very different in Northern California and Southern California. It took me so long to get her on the phone. Once I knew that, I was better able to serve our client, and we put the deal together. Got to pick up the phone.
That's what is crazy to me sometimes. You do make these calls. You're like, how is this person not picking up the phone? It's
Right?
unbelievable, and you miss deadlines, and it blows my mind sometimes.
Right? It's so easy. Can you share any specific challenges you have faced in your business and how you overcame them?
I think I don't want to use the word challenge, but it's just more of just educating ourselves in the process of, growing the team. I started with real estate, not really knowing anything about real estate except, the process of buying a home just from the consumer side of it. But people think it is, oh, just kind of write some contracts and, put some papers together and sign some signatures here and there. And it is a busy, busy full-time job. And then on top of it, trying to build and grow our team, I think it's just being very open-minded with understanding where our agents are at in the process. Each agent is going to be completely different with what their wants and needs are based on their production, their personality, their experience, their knowledge of the business. But the thing that we're super proud and humbled about is we can kind of gravitate towards each of those needs and not just put a cover canopy over everyone and expect them to grow at the same rate. So just the one-on-one time and knowing where people are at, where our agents are at in the process with growing, and just sitting down and spending the time with them and giving them the opportunity to learn from our mistakes, because that's the way Lauren and I have learned this business, is by making those mistakes in the past and screwing up things and missing certain things that we should have caught, but learning from those things, which is what we're really trying to bulletproof our business with providing so much value to people so they can grow from everything that we've learned from. So basically it's just navigating personalities, learning how to teach people, while at the same time taking care of our own business and our own database of clients. And it's always evolving. There's always new things to learn. There's always new trainings to come up on. But one of the biggest things that we do to kind of save that is just meeting up and talking about the wins and the losses. Did you have a good phone call this week? Was it a bad phone call? Was that a bad Zillow call that you took? What could you have done better? Talk through this transaction. I mean, Lauren just closed a transaction yesterday it was a tough one, and it were some sleepless nights, dealing with just the evolving of this. And if we don't share that information, how are you going to learn from it? And so that's one of the biggest things, is just we're open, we're honest, so everybody can learn from each other. And it's going to take time, and growing is a big thing. And we want to build the right foundation first before we, put up too big of a house. So we're just kind of slow growth right now, and putting the right amount of value into certain people, and growing them the best that we can.
That's great. I think what's so important is, and it sounds like you're like my husband, you guys like to be in the office. So hopefully for you, I know I train our agents, especially new agents, just sit Adam's in the office every day. Go take at one of the desks right next to him. Listen to he's the broker of our office. He's talking to oftentimes, 5 different agents with 5 different issues a day. and you're listening and hearing. You would never learn that in a classroom setting. But if you're sitting there hearing real experiences, you're going to gain so much knowledge. So I'm assuming your team members are oftentimes just kind of in your little vortex there, hearing what you're doing and saying on the phone to your clients.
Absolutely. And it's just like, but I have such so much experience with the whole law enforcement aspect of it. I mean, I remember sitting in the police academy for 6 months, and then all of a sudden they throw you out in the field, and it's not the same. So it's all real world. And if you don't put yourself out there, and if you don't get uncomfortable and you don't have those conversations, you're not, it's going to be difficult. And I mean, even me, like sometimes you got to make these calls, and it's tough to make some of these calls sometimes, but you got to do it.
It's so true. It's like you said, open houses, it's a great training ground. It's a great place to get clients, and it's a great way to practice because you never know what someone's going to want. Like when you're new, I know our agents like, what am I supposed to do with the open house? It's like people are going to come in and you're going to talk. It's really just, you're having interactions. But so it's so important just to keep doing those sorts of things. But I love that. Yeah, when you said just threw myself out there in real estate, yeah, not quite as dangerous as throwing yourself out there in law enforcement.
Sometimes it can sting though a little bit. I was, just dealing with, going through some transactions that just go south. I mean, it hurts sometimes, but it toughens you up and it prepares you for the next one.
That is so true. And we take it so personally, right? We're just like, how could we have avoided that? But we're working with so many different personalities. We've got buyers, maybe two buyers on one side, two sellers on the other side. We've got agents. We might have family members which come into play, and that sometimes really throws a wrench into things. It could be tough. What is your strategy for staying informed about market trends, changes in regulations, or laws affecting the real estate industry?
We have an amazing foundation with the brokerage that we just recently switched to back in October, and they've done a phenomenal job about the brokers that we have are just so knowledgeable about the ever changing things going on in real estate. And there's so many trainings that they put on for the team and the agents, and just keeping up to date. Another big thing is we have an amazing lender that we partner with on our team, and it is just constant communication as to where rates are, what the market is doing, where things are trending. And it's so difficult sometimes when you have some clients that work with some of the bigger institutions and whatnot, and it's difficult to get in touch with them on the weekends or whatever. But when we have our lender, he got his direct cell. We're calling him. He's available right when we need him, and he does a lot of educating to our agents to prepare us for those conversations of figuring out where the motivation is for our clients. And even going back to title, we have amazing title companies here that we use, and the trainings that they put on, and they follow kind of where things are going with our market. Just coming up here recently, we're talking about multiple offers and how can we be creative to have our offers stand out compared to others. It's how we present our offer. I mean, one of the biggest thing that we even get compliments on is just the offer presentation itself when it gets received by the agent. You could just slap your offer on there with a couple attachments and hit send, but man, if you just put a little extra effort into those offers and the presentation of it, it really sets the groundwork for that potential future, working relationship with that agent. And it stands out. Sometimes we see our agents talk about, hey, I saw your offer come through. I knew it was from you. It looks amazing. You laid it all out. It looks like you do a really good job, and it looks like you're clear, professional, and you're ready to go. I mean, they're going to go with you. So just taking advantage of all the trainings that the brokerage has, the experience that, Lauren and I have from doing some of these transactions and losing transactions and gaining transactions is just showing up and coming to the office and taking it all in and being a sponge.
I love it. Well, I wish we were working the same area so we could work together. You guys sound like wonderful agents. We're missing, I had like 13 more questions, and we have been talking, and we are at the end of the show. We have 2 minutes. Okay. What are the anchor companies in Boise or around Boise?
So we got Micron is a big one down in Southeast Boise. So they do a lot of computer software, data storage. I actually had the privilege to represent a buyer who is a CFO of a company called Autovol, and they're one of America's largest modular companies that build like large apartment complexes and hotels. So that was a very unique opportunity to be a part of that. And I got to throw it out to Boise, Idaho. Yeah, and I think we got 4 more locations coming. So Idaho or In and Out is here.
Oh, I think I heard about that from the marches. Okay, how do people connect with you before we get cut off? How can people find
Uh,
you?
Yeah, you can check us out over at MacowskiRealEstate.com. Again, my name is Kyle Macowski. My phone number is 208-590-5070. We got our social media, Instagram, Macowski Real Estate, same on Facebook, and check out our Zillow profile, Macowski Real Estate.
And we'll be putting up some social media posts, and people can always call me to get a hold of you. And thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure. I am going to send you these last 3 pages so you can answer them and I can post them. And thank you so much.
You bet, Debbie. Thank you so much, and hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too. And that's a
Bye-bye.
wrap for Mastering the Art of Real Estate.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Real Estate with host Debbi DiMaggio. Here Fridays, noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network. Tune in to where real estate matters matter.